Good to go.
Okay. All right, let's get going here. Hey, everybody. Thank you guys so much for those of you who joined us for the behind the scenes. Now we are officially starting the class. So let me do a little intro so you know what to expect and who I am. My name's Stephanie Fleming. I'm co-founder of Me and My Big Ideas. We are the creators of the Happy Planner. I retired actually this past year, but now I am really finding my passion, still sharing positivity and planning and for all things creative, and also helping creative entrepreneurs just with the tips that I have from being in business for 22 years. So like many of you, I would suspect, I started my business in my garage with my mom, like I said, 22 years ago, which kind of dates me a little bit. And, you know, don't really want to go there too much, but anyway, it's something I wear as a badge of honor. So I know what it's like to have a big idea and kind of have that, like, I don't know how to get started. So when Michaels came to me and said they are doing this Dream, Make, Sell campaign to help makers and encourage them and inspire them and educate them on how to take something maybe that they make, and you have these big ideas and you want to go into business for yourself, maybe sell these creations that you make. And they asked me if I would share some of my tips. I jumped. These are the things, what I want to do in retirement. I want to be filling my time with passion projects like this. So whether you have a big idea right now and you're just ready to get started, or you have a business right now that you'd like to grow, or you need to just kind of you need to pivot a little bit, or maybe you have a very successful business and you're here for just a couple, you know, little nuggets of wisdom. I thank you for being here, and we're gonna have a good time. So let's see. Let me just first of all start off with a tiny little pep talk for you, because number one, I was a cheerleader. Number two, I'm all about all things positive. And I want you to know that you actually can do this. So if you are wrestling with, or you've ever had thoughts of, can I really do this? Who do I think I am? Like, I don't have a business degree. Maybe you don't have a college degree. Neither did I. Neither do I. And you don't know anything about running a business, or you think like, maybe this isn't the right time, or I haven't worked in years. Like, oh my gosh. Well, let me stop you right now and tell you that you can do this. And by this, I mean, you can start that business that you have been dreaming of. You have ideas that are worth exploring. And while I can't promise you that the ideas that you have in your business is going to thrive or even survive for that matter, I can help you by sharing some tips that I've learned along the way and over the years. And by the way, when I started, I was in my 20s, my mid to late 20s. I was a mother of two. Is that better? Okay.
Yes. Sorry.
Okay.
Like I said, we're having some Zoom difficulties tonight, but yes, you're good to go now.
Okay. All right. So anyway, so what I was saying was that from that time when I started, I was all those things probably that you would think, oh my gosh, no, you don't have this. No, you don't have that. You shouldn't be doing this. You have no experience, blah, blah, blah. But I did it anyway. You know, I was fortunate enough to have some really amazing mentors along the way, and have a family business that had a business that as I grew up, I had some experience and could go to. And so that's why I feel like, you know, some of those little, you know, what are those things where someone's lifting you up and giving you a boost up? I had those, and I want to be able to share those with as many people as possible. So with that said, you can do this and you're in the right place. So let me tell you what you can expect tonight. So I'm going to break this class down into 4 sections. One is going to be defining the purpose of your business, your product, or your idea, because we really need, a lot of you guys that are here are planners, and we need you to really define the purpose of it so that you can create a plan. And then the second part is going to be assessing your business, your product, or your idea. Like, where are you now? What kind of, you know, that's where you do your SWOT analysis. And then the third part is going to be about marketing and branding, which is my baby. That's the part that I love the most. And then we'll do a Q&A. And I will try, if you have questions, like Raina said, if you guys can chat amongst yourselves in the chat box. And then if you have a question for me as I'm talking, you can put it in the Q&A. And if I happen to see it while I'm talking in that section, maybe I'll go ahead and answer that there. And then I can kind of wrap up, and if we have time, do more questions at the end. So that's what to expect. So let's get started. Okay, first of all, I want to talk about the difference between a hobby and a business. So a while back, my husband and I did an Instagram live where we talked about the difference between a hobby and a business, because not only does it matter to the IRS whether you have a business or what's a hobby or business, because you need to make that differentiation between, am I making this as a hobby and then I'm selling it, but not really, I'm making it with not the intention to sell it. That's a hobby. If you are making something with the intention to sell, you have a business, and you have to set things up completely different. And so in order for you to take your business to the next level, whatever that may be, you've got to start treating your business like the business that you want it to be. You know what I mean? It's like when somebody has told you, maybe, hopefully this won't date me either, but if anyone's ever told you to dress for the job that you want, not the job that you have. So if you are just saying, oh, this is a side hustle, it's just this little thing that I do, it's just a hobby kind of a thing, and you're treating it that way, you may be selling things, but you don't really have a viable business. You've got to be able to make sure that you're treating this as a business, knowing what how much it costs you to make your goods, what kind of cash flow do you have, what kind of inventory do you have. Even if it's small, start treating it like the business you want it to be. Otherwise, you're going to find it, maybe it's growing and you're going, I don't know how to deal with this, because you got to backtrack and start that planning. So there was a couple of people in the chat before we started that said, I'm just thinking of getting started, and this is the perfect time. So think about it. And by the way, if you want to have a hobby that you just sell some things here and there, bomb, that is great. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're saying like, hey, I want to, have this business and I want it to bring in a part-time income for me, but you're treating it like a hobby, that's the difference right there. So you don't have to know everything to take your hobby or your side hustle or whatever to the next level, but you do have to build a strong foundation for your business from the beginning. Do your research. The internet is a powerful thing, one that I did not have. So I was looking through, please don't laugh, phone books, the back of magazines to find resources, and calling every printer in California, in Southern California, going, do you print stickers? Do you print stickers? So now you can Google it. GTS, you guys know what that means? Google it. So do your research, and don't be afraid to ask for help. Consult with professionals or experts who are knowledgeable in the areas, especially those that you are not knowledgeable in. Okay, so the first part, we're going to talk about defining the purpose for your business, and setting goals and developing a business plan. Now, I'm going to be really honest with you. When my mom and I started our business plan was, she and I sat at my son's baseball game on concrete bleachers going, wouldn't it be so great if we had these stickers that were clear and bigger for scrapbookers? And we had this great big idea. And then we thought, we should like go into business. We should do that. If we sold rolls, and if we did 12, if we sold those for this much, that was $495 for a full wholesale order. We would need to make this much, and we would break even. And that was it. That was our business plan. And we said, they were designed, we sold them, and we started making money. And when we were taking it to the next step, someone's like, so can I see your business plan? And we were like, ooh, our what? Our business plan. Yeah, we don't have one of those. So when we actually had to go for some financing and get a loan, can we see your business plan? We were making money, which we were very fortunate because our business was successful. So we had this great idea, but we had no idea, which was great. It's fine. We were lucky, but we had to really do some unwinding. And start from the beginning up. So the very first thing I think you want to do is, what are your goals for the business? What do you want to do? Okay, so do you want your business to be, okay, if you think about it, I want to have an international brand. I want everyone to know I'm going to take over the world. Or I want to bring in some side money. So I have some income, I have some spending money, or I want to have this be something where I quit my job and I want this to be a full-time income. These are going to be bumpers that you have and guide, like guardrails. So if you're saying that you don't want it to be that big of a, I just wanted to earn some side money, you're not going to throw a ton of your cash into it. You're not going to go get the biggest loan that you can get because you just want it. That doesn't make sense for just wanting to get some, make some money on the side. If you are really going to go gung ho and you've got these big, big dreams, you might make bigger decisions and you might put more on the line. So you have to know where you're going. You have to have a roadmap for your business, just like you do in life. For the things that you want, you have to be able to set those goals for your business. And like I said, they're like bumpers, and you kind of, if you get to the point where you're evaluating where you're going on a regular basis, you can see, oh gosh, I've set these pillars for myself. This is not really, that's not a good decision based on where I want to go. Somebody, how much money do you invest in a business? It really, it differs. It really differs. And that's a whole thing. It depends on how much money you have, how much money you have access to, what your comfort level is for being in debt. Some people want to run their business just based on the profits. They want to put it back in. Other people are like, no, I want to take out a loan so that I can go full force. It really depends on, number one, your product, and your level of comfort with going into debt and that. So there's really not one set answer, but I would suggest that you take your guideposts and say, how much do I want to invest? How much am I comfortable with? Okay, so building a strong foundation is about protecting yourself from the beginning. Now, I'm going to tell you two things that are a caveat. I'm not going to go really deep into them, but I would suggest that you meet with an accountant that knows about setting up accounting for a business, even if it's small, even if it's one meeting where you say, hey, I'm selling wreaths, homemade wreaths, and I sell them in my Etsy shop, and I just want to know how I should do the accounting. What can I write off? How do I set this up so at the end of the year, you've got everything done properly? So that is something that I think, make sure you're doing that from the beginning, because you don't want to be caught kind of like saying, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I was supposed to be paying. Are you supposed to be paying estimated taxes? Those kinds of things. Also protect yourself legally. Know the things that you need to file. Do you need to have, and you don't necessarily have to meet with anybody like a lawyer or anything at the beginning, although you could. You need to, I think one of the best resources that I have found for those people starting a business is the US Small Business Administration. It is a fabulous resource for if you're starting up for planning your new business. They have everything from market research, competitive analysis, helping you write a business plan. It will walk you through it, calculating your startup costs. So for your question right there, that will help you calculate it, and even funding your business. So it's sba.gov, and it's a wealth of knowledge. So as you're starting, you want to make sure, don't get yourself, know your copyright laws if you're doing artwork of any kind. And just give yourself that foundation, those legal guidelines of how it is that you need to set yourself up, do the homework at the beginning, and then that way you can be on your way, and you've kind of built your house on a really strong foundation. Okay, so, and that's why I think too, setting a business plan is something that you're going to go through all of those things. You have to know your competitors. And I'm going to say this because it's a two-way street. So on one hand, I say follow and make sure you've done your market research, you've done your competitive analysis, and let's say we're going to stick with the wreaths. I make handmade wreaths. And if you're doing your business plan, you're going to need to tell them what makes your wreaths so great. What makes them like different and stand out from everything else that's out there? Who are your competitors? What are they doing well? What are this kind of thing. This is that competitive analysis. And you need to know that, and you need to be able to follow that, because you can't just go in blindly into business and go, I sell wreaths and I know nothing about the market. I don't know my pricing. I don't know who my competitors are. So with that said, once you get into business, know what your competitors are doing and then do your thing. It's like being informed. I don't want to get caught up in the other wreath maker, and Joan Smith wreath maker over here is making them for a little bit less. Oh my God, I think don't get caught in your head. So right now you're just laying the bricks. Somebody asked a great question over here these are questions you have to ask. How do you leave corporate America when that means the insurance, 401k, all of that part scares you? And I don't mean it should scare you, but you are smart to be thinking about that, because a lot of people have this, I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to work for myself. It's going to be so amazing. And I'm going to have a flexible schedule. And yes, you do. You do have a flexible schedule to work all night long sometimes. There's really amazing, wonderful things for working for yourself. However, if you leave corporate America or you leave a job, you have to be able to look at all the benefits that you'd be giving up. So if you're not comfortable with that, maybe you do it part-time. Maybe it brings you joy and you do it part-time and it gives you some extra side money, because it doesn't make sense to do it full-time because of your 401k and your benefits and things like that. So maybe you do it on the side for, you set a goalpost for yourself and you say, until I'm making this much, my business is making this much, it'll be a side job for me. Okay, so let's talk about assessing your product and your business and your idea. And this is all about the SWOT analysis. So a SWOT analysis is a tool that businesses use to assess where you are in your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And when it's done properly and honestly and objectively, the SWOT analysis, it provides critical thinking that's needed for strategic planning of your business. And you have to be really honest with yourself. If you're making the wreaths and you're like, okay, my strengths are that my wreath has high quality materials. I haven't seen anybody use these materials like mine. And the design is very unique. And you list all your strengths, right? You look at your weakness and you think, okay, maybe a possible weakness is that it's a higher priced one. And so I'm not as competitively priced. Opportunities would be something like, I saw this blogger, and she is doing wreaths of the month, and I'm going to send her one because I think she would like that. So I'm going to hear all the opportunities that I think I have for my business. And your threats might be Joan Smith over here. She has I keep seeing her wreath making business grow. And I really need to watch that. And I need to be able to, count on my strengths of my business. So there are a lot of tools. You can go online and they'll show you, there's an analysis for your SWOT thing. And honestly, you guys are planners, you're creative people. Get a piece of paper, put it, like so, a line down, a line across, and write SWOT. That's it. It's just a graph. So start listing out all your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and threats. And you can do this for your business. You can do it for your products. Like I said, it could be product specific, and it could be your organization, your actual business. And let's see. And so it's one of those things. We have done it from the beginning, very informally. And then more recently in the company, we had done a more formal, like, executive team, several days of going through this. And so you can make it as easy and as involved as you'd like. But I think that's something else that as you're building this foundation, build that in. Okay. Let me look at a couple questions here. How do I figure out what product I want to sell, since I've always liked making arts and crafts? So the very first thing I think is that is, and I'm always really honest with you guys, so I'll be really honest now. You have a desire to have a business. You like making arts and crafts, but you don't have anything for sale yet. So my advice to you would be that keep your mind open as you're making things. Is there a market for something? Look at the marketplace. Look at the things that you really enjoy making, or that make, hey, I offer this. I've never seen anybody make anything like this, and go from there. So that's something that I would say to do as you're making them. You know, don't make the mistake of saying, I just want to work, because a lot of people just want to quit their jobs and they want to work for themselves and they want to do this. So, but dip your toe in and, you know, do it kind of in that way. Is having a YouTube channel a good source of income for crafters? I would say it could be. I would say it could be. Yes, for sure. And I think with I'm getting off track. So this is what I do. This is what I do. I'll see it. Let me look. I'm going to answer questions in the Q&A if it's to this pertinent to the topic we're at right now, and then I'll do all the rest of them at the end. What marketplaces would be good to look at for comparison? So when I mean you're going to be looking at something for comparison, if you make wreaths, I don't know why I'm sticking with this. I've never made a wreath in my life, which, you know, I probably should. But if you make wreaths, you need to look at go to online and look at Etsy. And where are you wanting to sell? Do you want to sell on Etsy? Go and see all the people on Etsy that make wreaths. And if you look and there's 500,000 people making wreaths, you are going to be like, shoot, it might be hard for me to stand out, right? If you go online and you say high-end fabric wreath, and you go on there and there's 5 people selling on Etsy, you might know that it's, you know, it's a little bit, you're like, okay, hey, I can make a name for myself. So for instance, when my mom and I started with stickers for scrapbooking, when we would look, we said, okay, who's currently selling stickers? Who's currently selling stickers for scrapbooking? We want to make them on clear sticker material, and we want to make them large, and we want to make them shaped, like sized for 12 by 12 pages. There wasn't anybody doing what we did. Anybody. There was tiny stickers. There was, everything was on paper, and nobody had what we had. Now, that could have been a disaster because maybe nobody wanted that thing. But it also told us that, hey, this thing that we want that's not out in the marketplace, there could be a place for this. So I think that's, you know, that's kind of where you go, you look. If there's craft fairs, if that's where you want to sell. I know right now that's not really a thing, but if your goal is to sell at a local craft fair when they come back, look there to see, are there 10 wreath makers? Are there 10, you know, somebody that makes purses? Or you need to look and know that, that marketplace. And that's what I mean by marketplace, is basically where your products would be sold. Okay. Now, 2 things that, for those of you, so a couple of people before we joined noticed that I'm flopped. My husband here, right over here, used to be our CFO and our CEO of the Happy Planner and Mamby. And when I asked him, what are the 2 most important things about business? He said, cash flow and inventory. And I was like, ooh, yeah, I'm not gonna be talking about that. However, it is really important. So if you are talking to your accountant and you need to have a good you need to have a good understanding of your cash flow and of your inventory. So you don't want to just be throwing out money all the time and like, I don't know where I just bought the things. And you need to know what's coming in, what's going out. And with inventory, you need to really have a good handle on that, because maybe when you're small, it's not going to be a big deal. But as you grow, if you don't have those two things under control, that can wipe you out. Okay.
Maybe now that you're retired, you can make wreaths.
For some reason, something must be telling me like, oh, you want to make a wreath? Being a grandma, I'm actually like decorating for Halloween. What's the next one coming up? Valentine's Day for the first time, because I'm like, I have this time, and I'm feeling so creative.
Why not?
So maybe wreaths are
there you go.
Maybe wreaths are in my future. Okay. So now I want to talk about marketing and branding. And like I said, if there's some specific questions when we're done, I can see if I can answer about starting the business. But there are so many different ways that, like, somebody asked about an LLC, and those are kinds of things. Like, my biggest piece of advice for you is to build that strong foundation and consult with the people you really need to consult with, where you can go one-on-one and say, here's my situation. Because I don't know. I can't tell you it's much better for you to be an LLC or a sole proprietor or an S Corp, or because your situation is going to be so different. There really isn't one plan. I wish there was, because then I could say, hey, here is the thing. But know where you're going, create that roadmap for what you want. And if you don't know, that's fine. Sit with it for a while and think about it for a while. And protect yourself legally and financially. Make sure you're setting things up properly, and that you're not violating any laws or not paying, you haven't filed some, permit you're supposed to file for selling or making or whatever. Come up with that product, right? You come for it, do your SWOT analysis. And then once you actually start selling, and you say you have this, you're starting this business. This is the part for me that I love the most, because it's about marketing and branding. And I have my notes here, and I'm going to switch them around, because the number one thing that I think that I have to offer you is build your brand, build your brand, build your brand. Brand matters. And I cannot stress it enough. I can't stress it enough, because unless your business is going to be providing a commodity, which a commodity versus a brand would be, commodities are like products that which can be easily substituted for one another. They're items for which a demand exists, but no qualitative difference across the marketplace. In contrast, brands create differentiated products which are highly desired by their customer base. Okay, brands connect with emotion, and commodities connect on price. So let's say you are going to make washi tape. You have, you're going to bring it in from somewhere, let's say. And unless you're going to say, I have the cheapest washi tape ever, your washi tape better be, you have to have a brand around it, because it's going to be all about price then, right? If you are someone, this is not for this crowd probably, but if I sold notebook paper, college ruled notebook paper, that's a commodity. Every year, places are going to carry notebook paper, but so it's going to be all about price. But you don't know what's your favorite brand of college ruled notebook paper. Nobody knows that there, because there's no such thing. So you want to be able to connect that, right? So your product has to stand out, but it has to stand for something. That makes sense? So your product needs to stand out, but your brand needs to stand for something. That is going to make you different. Okay. This was how I always thought about it. People don't have relationships with companies or products. They have relationships with brands and people. And if you want to stand out, because right now, if you have your wreath and you have a great wreath and everything, and you've got great pricing, all this you've done, you've built the foundation and everything, you are going to be competing with a lot of people who have free advertising on social media, not advertising, but get it going on social media and all of these tools that back in my day, you either had to have a brick and mortar store or you needed to sell to a brick and mortar store or, you know, all of these things. So if you are making something and you want to stand out and you want to stand out with the millions and millions of people on Instagram or TikTok or Snapchat, no, it is Snapchat anymore, or YouTube, or, you know, all of these different things, you have got to have a brand and you have to be different. And that could be in your product, that could be in the makeup of your business, that could be in your messaging and how you go about inspiring your customers. You have to figure out what makes you unique. So another thing that I would always say at the Happy Planner and at Mandy when I worked there was you don't want your customers to feel like a transaction. You want them to feel like they're part of something, a community, a family, a movement, right? You don't want, and you have to, it has to be real though. You can't just like your customer, believe me, will know when you're not being genuine. If you're just trying to be like, oh, hey, you know, I want them to feel special so that I can get them their order. Customers are smart. People are smart. They know when they're being sold something. If you love the product you sell or the service or whatever, it's not going to feel like a sale, right? When we created the Happy Planner, man, I've got Happy Planner stuff all over. I don't work there anymore, but every single day of my life, I use the Happy Planner to help me in retirement, to help me with my wellness journey, to help me do my meal planning. And I will scream it from the rooftops. And if you want to buy it, cool, but I'm gonna still be telling you how much I love it. And I started doing that from the beginning because I loved and believed in our product more than anyone. And I wanted to tell you and share with people how much I loved it. I didn't say, please come buy this, do all these things. Not that you don't ever, you know, advertise when something's on sale. I wanted to inspire people and possibly, you know, and to get customers, yes, but I wanted to share my love for this product we created. And I did that with all of our products and it was genuine. And I created relationships with real people and they got to see behind the scenes. And so our take was, I want to be that person. That's kind of the role I fell in where, you know, let's take this product. I will be the one to go with me and my big mouth, go and share it with the world and tell everybody who will listen about our products. So you need to be your biggest cheerleader and you need to love what you do and find out what makes you different in that space and really like go out there and be genuine about it and develop that brand that you have, define it, you know, make sure that you know that you can tell somebody, you know, I was all about, I'm creating relationships and community. We are inspiring and educating and motivating people by sharing our products with them. And that's how, and then people would want to buy them if it felt like it fit into their life. That felt to me like a respectful relationship with my customer. And that makes all the difference in the world. And it's why I think sometimes, you know, business gets bigger and it gets a little more harsh. And so for me, it was like, you know, I'm personally connected to people and I care. So I want you to care that much. I want you to care that much about your business and about your product because I think your customers will feel that. What else? Okay, so let me go back to where I was gonna start. So marketing and branding, I want you to know who you are, know what your business or your product is and what you're not. So this will help you when you're looking at somebody else on Instagram that's doing something that you think, oh, that's cool. I think I should do that. You know, you're not everything to everybody. Starbucks, you know, sells coffee. If you live in California, In-N-Out Burger sells hamburgers. That's it, people. Like they don't sell, you want chicken tenders? Sorry, you're out of luck. You know, they do hamburgers and they do them well. And I would argue and probably fight somebody if they said that it's not the best hamburger in the whole world, but that's for a different day. Anyway, they know who they are. They make hamburgers. They make them the certain way. This is who they are. And I can tell you the line around In-N-Out every day at my house or in our city is wrapped around. It's always full because they know who they are and they're not ashamed that they don't have chicken, they don't have salads, they don't have all this stuff. So know who you are and what you're not. Know your customer. Know your customer. Who are you talking to? Again, you don't have to, if you are, I see somebody here. I think you were young. If I'm looking back in the questions, wants to do an Etsy scrunchie business, right? So if you are selling your scrunchies to young girls and maybe young women, you don't need to market to me. You know, you don't need to market to the 50-year-old midlifer. Not that one day, not that I might not want to buy your product, but you need to really hone in and define who's my customer. My customer is maybe she's between the ages of 12 and 25. And she's kind of, you know, she's kind of casual. You really define that customer. So that's who you're talking to. And your potential customers too. Even if you don't have any, you're like, this is who I want to buy my scrunchies. So that is, know your potential customers and the customers you have now so that you can speak to them like, you know, you would speak to somebody that you know. Some companies even give their customers names. They define them. They're like, okay, it's Stephanie F. and she lives in Orange County, California, and she's 50 years old, and she, you know, and this is what car she drives. These are the things she likes to do in her free time. Some companies actually define and give a name to their ideal customer. Just so another thing that gives you, say, hey, would this messaging resonate with Stephanie F. in California? So don't be everything to everyone. We covered that. And just remember In-N-Out. Share the unique qualities of your business or your product with your customers. So Happy Planner, I can tell you how they're different. We wanted a lower price so that you had more accessibility to everyone. We wanted positivity to be included in your daily planning life. We wanted great design. We wanted discs to make the planner interchangeable. You can move it, you can customize it. And there was 5. I'm retired now, so don't hold this against me, but there was one more. Anyway, so I knew what made us different and what made us unique. So if somebody else said, oh, will you ever do a spiral bound planner? And we said, probably not. No, probably not. I get it. If you love spiral bound planners, there's great spiral bound planners, but we are #disc love. We love the discs and that's what we do. You know, not that we would never do anything else, but we knew that that's what made us unique. Will you ever use high quality paper? Probably not, because we want to be able to, you know, have our product accessible to as many people as possible. So know what makes you unique and then tell your customers that. Okay, what else did I write? So don't be afraid to toot your own horn. We talked about that. Build a community. Okay, so building a community that supports, inspires, educates your customers. So this is Instagram, YouTube. Somebody asked about YouTube. And this is about, again, creating a relationship. Community is relationship. If you love your product and you connect with the customers that love your product as well, and I don't care if it's when it starts, let's go with your scrunchie business. If it's 10 people that wear your scrunchies every day, they love them, they change them out, they have one in every color that you make, and it's the 11, it's you and the 10 customers, build on that. Then you guys just, you know, build on that, engage with them every day. And that is going to create a community. When we started out, Periscope was the thing. Does anybody remember Periscope? And I was like, okay, and not when we started out, like the Happy Planner part, not like way back when, but when the Happy Planner came out, I was trying to think of a way to like communicate and show people like what was inside of our planners. And so we would do Periscope lives, and I like rigged up some like, you know, janky, like overhead camera thing, and I have a picture of it, and it is like, who does she think she is? And we did a live Periscope, and people loved it. And so I built off of what the community loved. You know, we try something new, people didn't really respond, we just moved on. You know, we tried something different. And so building that community is it's such an important part of branding and marketing. And let me tell you guys, until we sold our business, when we were actually going through the process of marketing the company, we sat down, and until 2019, we spent almost zero in marketing dollars, almost zero. We went to a couple events, and we sponsored a couple things like that, like Go Wild. And so that's not zero. I mean, we put the money into that. We never paid for performance marketing. We never paid any kind of advertising. We didn't do AdWords. We didn't do anything. It was purely relationships and community building on social media for free, because it was genuine. We cared. I spent the time. I answered things. You can do that, right? So engage with your community, build your brand. It's so important. Because also, if you don't know what makes you different and what makes your product different, I guarantee you your customer won't either. So if you're sitting there going, oh, okay, I want to find it, but I'm sure that my customers know, but like, I can't tell you what makes my product different. I mean, I like it. Your customers won't know. And eventually somebody else is going to come along, and they're going to want to buy their wreath from Joan Smith, or whatever I named her earlier. So that is something you need to do, that work, and know who you are, who your business is, what they're not, what your product is, so that you can like shout that from the rooftops. And for the people that want to come, great, you bring them in with open arms. And for the people who are like, yeah, it's just not really for me, not really a wreath kind of gal, no problem. You know, I have super short hair, I don't use scrunchies, no problem. We're going to be over here loving our scrunchies, right? So build that community. Think outside of the box. And another thing, I think this is from the book, Jab, 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 Right Hook. And for every one thing you ask your customer to do, you should be providing 3 things that are for them without asking. So if every day on your Instagram, it's, I have this for sale, please come buy my new wreath, I've got a new listing, blah, blah, blah. It's going to feel like a catalog. If that's what you're going for, cool. But if you have tips on decorating your door with your wreath, and the next one is, changing your wreaths out seasonally, how to spice up your wreath with, I don't know, cute little Easter bunny things that you can get at Michael's, of course, how to change them out with the seasons, and then you do that a couple times, and then you post a new product, you are giving your customer something as well. Okay. Let me see what I have down here. Okay. And then, so now that we're here, we've kind of gone through those things. I could talk to you guys literally. That's why I used to use the hashtag me and my big mouth. I could talk to you about this stuff all day long because it is a passion of mine, and I've loved being in business. I've loved as hard as I work, as we worked, it was all worth it. I want to leave you with one thing, because I think that I'm not leaving you, but I just mean as I wrap this up, owning your own business is hard work. If you're thinking that this is just going to be kind of some easy thing you're going to do, and you're going to have all this free time, and you're going to be your own boss, and you're not really looking at it for what it is, you're going to be shocked down the road, especially if your business becomes successful, which I hope that for you. I really wish that for you. Could I say, you know what, Friday, I'm going to go and I'm going to drive my kids I'm going to chaperone that field trip. Yes. That meant that I worked all weekend because somebody had to go package stickers. Somebody had to package my orders up. So you have to be willing to do the work. So you need to love it. And I hope you love what you do. So as we wrap up, before we get into questions, I would really encourage you, I'm not bossy, just a little bit, that make a goal today, right? Set a goal for your business. If you're just starting, and I don't know if it was Emma or somebody was just starting, maybe it was Ashley earlier on, said, she's just starting, make a goal, a measurable goal, right? That has some specific goals. I can't say it tonight. That maybe you want to do some research, go to sba.gov and do your homework on starting up a business. Or if you're in business, you want to go there and just review to make sure you're doing things the right way. You know, I'm going to like really write down who I am. I'm going to come up with my branding blurb. Who am I? What is my product? Set a goal this week and do it. Just start doing that thing and making that progress. Okay. That's the goals. Cause I can't tell you specifically because you guys are all in so many different situations. So now let me take some questions. Let me close this baby out. Okay. Somebody asked, what should I use to make a website? There's a lot of good things out there to make a website. You could, if you don't want to do your very own, you can always sell on Etsy. If you do want to do your own, I use Squarespace because I love it. I'm not like super techie that way, which is actually a really good selling point for Squarespace because if I can do it, I set my own one. The one that I have right now, stephaniefleming.com, which was one that I just did after I wrote my book. And I'm like, oh shoot, I retired. I need my own website. I used Squarespace and I set it up in like a day and a half. So Squarespace is amazing. There's a lot of other ones. So if you just did if you Googled GTS, Google is your friend. And so is YouTube. You can learn anything. But if you look at, website hosting platforms, they'll teach you, there'll be a list, all kinds. Somebody used Wix. I can see that as well. Shopify. Okay. So Shopify, we use that for our site. We still do. Happy Planner still uses Shopify for selling. It has a lot bigger capability for selling your products and your product listing. If you are someone who maybe has just a few things to sell, being someone who's more of a product creative designer person, Squarespace is really hard for me to make pretty. Shopify was really hard for me to make pretty. Squarespace, there's all sorts of things. You can use templates, and Shopify was just a little harder. However, it's a great platform, very user-friendly and very, sometimes I can't think of the right term, not organic, but when intuitive. It's got very intuitive, navigation on the back end. So that is there. Do you have any tips when you have to make difficult business decisions? I would go back to your goals. Here's one for us. So for instance, when I forget how many years we had been in business, and our back in the day, there were 6,500 independent scrapbooking stores. And that was our base. That's how we started, all the mom and pops and stuff. But our business plan was we wanted to get our products in the hands of as many people as possible. And we wanted to be in the craft chains like Michael's. And we knew we had to make some very difficult decisions in, really marketing our product to retail chains. And it was because it was in our business plan that's how we wanted our products to become available. Not every mom and pop was happy with us, but, and I, it was a hard, difficult decision to make because we felt so much gratitude for their support, but they were starting to go away and we needed our business to grow. And so you have to look, and we said, look back at your business plan, look back at your goals and the foundations you set for yourself. And sometimes you just have to. I will say the hardest thing for me is actually running the business. There are a lot of difficult decisions that you have to make. And it's almost like being a parent sometimes. You have to make these difficult decisions where things that you are in charge of the health of your business. And if something is going to, maybe your employees wouldn't, if you get to the point where you have employees, maybe there are decisions that you make that your employees or your customers won't understand, but that your business won't survive if you don't. Just like if you're a parent, you need to maybe sometimes punish your kids sometimes because, I spanked my kids 2 times. One of them was when my 6-year-old ran in the middle of the street because he wasn't afraid of me. you know? So I made a difficult decision and said, okay, I'd rather have him be afraid of my spanking. Don't at me, don't DM me about spanking. We're not going to go there. I'm just saying I'm making a difficult decision as a parent because he kept running in the street. So I would say go back to those foundations. Let's see. Do you ever feel like having a degree would have streamlined things for you or the company? Yes and no. So there are a lot of things that I had to learn the hard and long way because I was a mom right out of high school. I was not married, and I was pregnant with my first child at 18, and I just had to be a mom and go to work and feed my family. And so, you know, I did that for 8 years. I did in-home daycare, and I didn't have a degree. I didn't go to college. And so I learned things the hard way. I'm a very hard worker. I'm a very smart woman. Those were my circumstances. And so there were a lot of things that people knew. However, I will say this, is that I have an ability to learn, and I will work harder than anybody you know. So those things combined, there are some people that I've seen who come out of college, and they're like, I know, I am, you know, I have a degree, but they don't have an intuition. They're not really paying attention to customer and product and what it is. And I have a feel for it. So I would have learned a lot quicker. There would have been things that I really went to school basically in my business. But yeah, there would have been things that I'm sure I would have not had to spend time trying to learn or hire somebody that I would have known to do. But so obviously it's not a bad thing, but it's also not a deterrent for people who say, well, I don't have a college degree, or I don't know. There are plenty of successful people in the world who don't have a college degree. We may have to do things longer and harder, but we're still able to. So how do you come up with prices for your products? So that's a question for this guy right here. No, so you really have to look at your cost of goods, what it costs you to make it, including your time. We highly suggest put in the amount of time. If you ever want to scale your business, you have to know what the labor cost is. Even if you put in minimum wage for your time, if it's taking you all night long to make one thing, you can't say like, well, I just do that. No, that you're telling yourself it takes 8 hours of work. You need to build that into your cost of goods. And maybe your price is not high enough. Maybe it priced it out to a product that's not actually a viable product. I've done that too, by the way, where we've said, this would be so amazing, right? Not actually handmade, but we would come up with a product and we would say, this would be like the coolest product ever. Could we do this? And we would talk to the factories and we would look, and they'd be, that needs to be $129. And we're like, that is never going to happen, because we would also kind of look, and you get a feel for, by doing market research, how much do wreaths cost? How much do these things cost? And how much do you believe people will be willing to pay for your product? But I've talked myself out of, or Kevin and our team have talked ourselves out of, products that it's like, that is not a viable product line based on what it needs to cost. Let's see, how did you decide the name for your business? I'll tell it quick. My mom and I went into business together, and she was told, I won't go into who told her this, kept saying, she would pitch her ideas, and they would say, oh, you and your big ideas, we're not looking for base hits, we're looking for home runs. They'd like just kind of send her on her way, very dismissive. And my mom was like, okay, kind of a you and your big ideas thing. And when we started talking about this, and we were like, this is a big idea. And that was one of the things we said, we're in a creative space. So me and my big ideas would be such a cool name. And we don't have to be, it's not like it's a computer, that we have to be in that, like in some techie world, we're like, what's that name? So we thought it would be pretty catchy. And that is how, and shockingly, nobody had it. So that's how we came up with me and my big ideas. And I saw somebody else said, you need to file a DBA. Which is a doing business as. So if you are not doing business as Stephanie Fleming, and which in case maybe you still do, I'm not sure. But at the SBA website, you'll see they'll guide you through filing a DBA for your business name. Those are the kinds of things that you may not think you need to do or may not be aware of that you need to, that the SBA website will help you. Did you ever struggle with being creative once your passion became your business? 100% yes. Yes, yes, yes. Which is why part of my schedule, my routine was constantly being inspired, whether that was, going on a walk or going to a mall and looking at different textures of things or looking at trends or just getting away and trying to be creative. I had to figure out when your business, which I would assume a lot of you would be in that boat, is creative, please nurture your creativity every day. Because if you make wreaths, you might not always have to, wreaths might not always be the thing. And so if you need to evolve, Maybe it is, maybe you have 25 years of selling wreaths or scrunchies or whatever, or jewelry, but maybe you're making bracelets. Like, this is pretty hot right now, right? I mean, or at least it was I had only my little thing has my name from my grandkids on there. But so maybe you can make these for a couple years. And then if you're trying to sell these in 30 years because they were hot in 2020, you're going to be a slow business person. Your business is not going to be making as much money as you'd probably like it to. Then you need to know, oh my God, everyone's making necklaces. So nurturing your creativity and knowing what's going on in your world. How are connections with the factories made? What is the right time to connect to the factory? So we actually worked with a broker at the beginning, which is just somebody who already knows. We found his contact through Business Associates. And that was somebody who was like, I already know these factories. They've legitimized them. They know that they're, fair and good factories. And we worked through there. We paid a lot more money and we took less money on the products until we learned how to do business with different factories. And that's working overseas. The factories, we did like a printing company here. I was calling label makers to say, hey, you make stickers. And they're like, bottle labels? No. Stickers, I didn't get it. So I would say the time to do it, if you can't keep up with the demand of your product and you say you're making stickers at home and you have 10 Cricuts, right? Or 20 Cricuts, I don't know how many people have, and they're going and you cannot keep up with the demand, perhaps you need to look to scaling your business up and see what that means for you, and maybe make some new guidelines. Someone's asking about the IRS. Not your girl. Sorry, I am definitely not your girl. You'd be like, oh. How do you start? A couple people, how do you start your business? Building a shop. Well, go back and watch this. There's a lot to start it, but it depends. If you building a shop, meaning like going online and creating a website where you sell your product, I would make sure that make sure you've done your homework on which platform really works for you. My goodness. Let's see. Are we at a hard stop at 6?
No.
Okay, I can take a few more questions if that's.
Yeah, it's entirely up to you.
Okay, because I'm looking over here because a lot.
Oh no, don't worry about the clock. Just whenever you're ready.
Okay, because a lot of people are asking questions in the chat, which is fine. I'll just go over here. When did you decide to hire help outside of friends and family, and who did you start with? That is a really great idea too. We've always been pretty conservative. So at the beginning it was, anybody who would, let's see, my kids were packaging stickers and we had a friend who was in sales and she said, oh, I love what you guys do. So I'd love to sell these. And she kind of sold, we gave her a commission and she wasn't like on payroll or anything. And, so we kind of had this like hire as needed. Do we know somebody? And I think you kind of get that feeling. All of a sudden it's like, you kind of think, I don't know anybody. If you need somebody who's going to be in your accounting, let's say, and doing your, taking in and taking your payments and dealing with things, and you're like, I don't know anybody. It's not me, and I need to do this. And maybe you need to start searching for that. And you'd really have to look at your cash flow. You'd have to make sure that, what does that mean? Can you afford that? These are all things that I think meeting with it, having somebody that you work with as an accountant can help you plan that out. So you're not just going like, I think I need somebody. You hire someone and then get yourself into a position where, you're going, shoot, now I have this employee. I have to do, there's, once you become an employer, you have, there's employer tax laws, there's employee things that you have to follow, and compliance, and you've got all that stuff to do. So you really have to do your homework. Somebody else asking, how do you organize your inventory? I did not. I did it only when I had it in my garage, and they were in little bins by SKU numbers when we had 12 stickers. And once we grew too big, we had somebody to do that. So I'm sorry that I'm not going to be your resource for that. The market is so saturated with planner shops. How to be your own cheerleader without boring everyone. Okay, so this is just what I think, is that if you feel like talking about your product is just more white noise, then you need to, maybe your product isn't standing out enough. And I know that may seem tough, but you want to create a business that's, if your stickers, let's say, or whatever planner stuff that you have looks like everybody else's, it is going to be like white noise. It is going to be hard to stand out. So it's not going to, if you like, I'm a planner. So if I'm looking at your thing and you have a place where, I don't know, if there's a way that I can track my meals or something that I'm doing, and I'm like, oh my God, she does that so well, and you're showing people how to use it and stuff, that's not going to bore people, not unless you don't have something that is, you've got to be able to stand out that way. What was your strategy in deciding on packaging? How did you choose? Well, at the beginning we had rolls of stickers, but packaging for us, there's a lot of things that go into it. There's branding, obviously, my favorite. And a lot of times I'm a little brand heavy on packaging, but you have to make sure that wherever you're selling it, you have to have the right information on it. You have to decide, like, how is it going to be displayed? If it's going to be hung, is there going to be waterfalled? Meaning like, is there going to be a sticker and then a sticker here? If you've got your packaging material or your packaging and all your notes down here, no one's going to see anything because they see just like a black header. If you have all your information up here, you need to know about that. It really needs to, you think about, like, if somebody walks in, let's say it's at retail, okay? And I'm talking about at retail now, but if you're packaging for retail, think about a customer, think about yourself walking down the aisle of Michael's, right? And you walk down the aisle of Michael's and you kind of look, what's going to catch your eye? As a customer, what would catch your eye? Okay. If you're not looking at retail packaging, if you're looking at just maybe like shippable things, then I would look at protecting it, getting your brand on there. Think about if somebody opened up your sticker and let's say it's stickers, or your wreath, and they took it out of the box and then they said, shoot, I really like this. I cannot remember the name of that Etsy shop I bought it at. I can't remember the name of, that place. If you don't have your branding on it anywhere, not your packaging, not your product, then you're missing a huge opportunity. What's the best way to test the market and see if there's interest in the different arts and crafts you make? Handmade jewelry, beaded and resin, and centerpieces right now. No wreaths. Starting to learn how to do canvas painting as well. What's the best way to start? Okay, so Carrie, you've got like a lot going on, right? A lot of ideas. Maybe if you had a shop, you say you had an Etsy shop, or you set up a website and you started selling those things, you can make a few things. And if all of a sudden your centerpieces sell out immediately, and maybe your centerpieces you'd sell 3 a week, and your bracelets sell 1 a month, then you either can decide to pivot and say, hey, I make amazing centerpieces because jewelry is not selling right now, or so maybe make a few. Just try, at that point, I would suggest don't do that for too long. Don't have it be like, oh, and I have bracelets and centerpieces and I have these things and I have resin and I have that, then people are going like, I don't really know who you are. There's a difference between like, we have planners and we have stickers for planners and we have inserts for planners. That's more of like broadening our selection for our product line. If you had centerpieces and then accessory packs for your centerpieces to make them seasonal, and you had all these different things for your centerpieces, that would be I get you. I get you are, centerpieces, home decor, like I get it. But otherwise it's more like, I don't think she knows her lane. So I'm kind of confused by you, if that makes sense. So again, if you don't know who you are, your customers don't know who you are. Do you need a seller's permit to sell on Etsy? I would imagine so. No, nope. You don't need a seller's permit?
Not when I signed up. No.
Okay.
There's an option to put in your tax ID, but if you don't have one, they don't require it.
I guess they don't. I would just say, make sure that, then I would suggest too, you don't need one. You don't need a seller's permit. Okay. I would just suggest that make sure you're doing your accounting and your tax reporting properly. Again, because I've seen people who've been like, oh my God, I did not know that I was supposed to be doing this. And then they come back and they get like kind of nailed with it. Or that's why I say, copyright. I've seen small businesses using artwork that I'm going, ooh, like we would be taken to court at the Happy Planner. And I see small businesses doing it on Etsy and they're not getting caught, but that's only because they don't have the visibility. You start growing a little bit and they start looking and you go, oh my gosh, you violated copyright. If you catch the eye of someone's copyright who you violated, you could be in big trouble. And so just make sure that you are protected, because I would hate to see any of you think, oh, I'm good, and then you get there and then all of a sudden one day it comes back to bite you because you just hadn't done that homework.
And you don't have a product anymore.
You don't have a product anymore. And they can come back and say, not only do you take those things down, don't sell them anymore, but we want all the money you made selling the product with our copyrighted artwork on there and damages.
Yep.
So I'm not trying to scare people. I'm just saying, protect yourself and be knowledgeable. And that old adage, measure twice, cut once. Do that. Like, do all your homework first, and just to make sure that you're protected. Clearly I'm not the Etsy person to like, I'm like, yes, you do. I don't know. Someone's asking about digital product. If your product is digital, how does it affect pricing in regard to your time? Well, again, not being the total expert on that, we never did it. And I always wanted to do it because I think of it this way. Digital product, if you can think about that, you put your time in one time, you do your artwork one time, and then it doesn't cost you any time or money to do that thing. So yeah.
Zero overhead.
Zero overhead. Like what, you could be sleeping and people are downloading your product. So yeah, I mean, we always were like, because it was like, we want to do the paper, we have the punch, and I get why we didn't make that decision. And, but that is one real benefit of it doesn't take the time to do that. Maybe it's an add-on. Any tips or best practices to do shipping products? No, no, I'm sorry. Okay, let me take a couple more and then, how did I make the decision to sell the business? Did they approach you? Did they approach us with an offer? Or did you decide to sell and look for a buyer? How does one know when it's the right time? So Sandy, it was a very hard decision for us. We are actually still shareholders. We maintained like a minority, but a pretty decent stake in the company because we still believe in it and love it. Which is why I still, even though I'm not officially the spokesperson and I'm retired, I still shout it from the rooftops because I love it so much. But our company, we were so fortunate enough that it grew extremely, after the Happy Planner, it was just like the business like doubled and tripled and quadrupled. And it was still a family run business, all, privately owned. And my husband and I and my mom and my brother and sister were just like working 24/7. And it was just more than we could do. And it was really just like, we needed to scale, we needed to do different things. And all of us were kind of like, we need help doing this. And so this is the time to bring in a strategic partner that can help us take that to that level. So we actually had somebody approach us. We didn't actually go with them, but we then decided we would market the business, and that's another process too. So yeah, but that's how we just kind of knew. We knew that when my husband was going to retire, you know, none of us wanted to be CEO because we're all product people and creative people, and we just knew to scale, we had to change something up. Okay, let me see. Let me take one more. One that I can answer. I'll take one that I can answer. Yes, this won't be it, but yes, the session will be recorded and it will be available, I think, what'd you say, in 24 to 48 hours?
Yeah, so I actually just posted it in the chat with the link. It'll be in the small business category at michaels.com/classes, available in about 24 to 48 hours. We have a little bit of a turnaround time before we can get those up and running. But yeah, and anybody can view it. Even if you didn't attend the class, you can still go see it.
So if there is somebody that you know, if you guys want to share this and you want to help direct them, and you think, oh my gosh, I have a friend who either is, you know, interested in starting a business or is, you know, has a business, and you think, I think he or she could really use this, feel free. And we would love it if you shared that link and directed them on over there. Okay, last question is, what tips do you have for coming up with new content on social media? So when you're talking about social media with your products, and I covered this kind of in the branding, but I think you need to think outside of the box, because if you do, lately I find myself scrolling really pretty pictures, things aren't catching my eye. And I'm like, if nothing's catching my eye, then people are taking really pretty pictures that are not doing what I know they want them to do. And so notice what's stopping you. What are you interested in? If everybody is doing what you're doing, think of something else, right? So here's what I would do. Get a piece of paper, open up your happy notes, open up your happy planner, right? Get that blank piece of paper and just start thinking of everything you could do. I've done this so many times where I just say, I think I'm going to do a series called Walking Wellness or Walking Wisdom. And I did that. And I thought I'm going to try that. I think I'm going to do a thing where I'm going to post 5 tips for this, and just make you don't even have to, like, they don't even have to be good ideas, but I want to show my product being used in this way. I want to do behind the scenes. I want to show our shipping. I want to show how we make one of these things. I want to show, think about that. Like, just make this whole list, and you'll start to have, I think you'll start to get that like creative flow going, and you'll have this list to pull from, and then put them in your, you know, in your Planoly or whatever you use to plan your social media feed. And but take the time. Sometimes when you're busy, I know it's hard, but I have a chair that I go to out in our, like right off on our deck off the master bedroom, and I just sit there and I have my tea or whatever I'm drinking, and I put my headphones on with like my favorite playlist, and I just think of all sorts of different ideas. I do that with products. I do that with social media ideas, and I did it when I was writing my book. So just take that time to nurture your creative ideas in all ways, in social media and in products and in everything. And I think you guys are going to be great. So that's about all. Like I said, I could sit here all night, but I'm sure Raina would like to go to sleep. And everybody else who's been helping us and answering the questions. So number one, I want to thank all you guys for being here so much. It's been so wonderful. I wish I could see all of your faces. I honestly just was like, I can't, because I can't concentrate. So I am so thankful that you were here. I also want to thank the team at Michaels for inviting me for this class, and also for taking the time to help moderate and make this wonderful for all of us. So I wish you the best of luck on your business ventures, whatever those may be. And I just highly encourage you to follow those big ideas and make your dreams happen. So thanks again, everybody. Bye.